Businesses, especially restaurants, are finding it difficult to do business in downtown Buffalo these days. Toutant and Dinosaur Barbecue, they closed just since the beginning of this year. Marble Rye, they have said that it's been a difficult couple of years for them. My good friend Nick Patillo over at Osteria 166, they are scaling back their dinner service this summer. If elected, what will you do to make doing business downtown easier? And more importantly, what will you do to make downtown Buffalo more attractive for visitors, especially those visitors from our suburbs? Mr. Tyson Thompson, back to you, sir.
Oh, man, that's a really great question. I think one of the greatest things that we could have did was to bring the Bill Stadium to downtown. But unfortunately, electeds couldn't get it done. They didn't want to speak truth to power out of fear maybe of political capital being lost or whatever. But I think really to make downtown and our restaurant industry thriving is to have a better culture, is to listen to the restaurants. What do they need to feel supported to thrive in this economy? We're facing an economy right now with a guy in the White House who are fighting for tariffs, wars. We have inflation. We have, just infrastructure just messed up in the city of Buffalo. We have a tourist problem. Toronto, that is 2 hours north, is a lot colder and gloomy. They have a thriving city of industry, of entertainment, of food, of tourism. Why can't Buffalo be that? Well, I think it's because that over the last decades, the status quo has just been to just let things happen. Let's promise a big deal. Let's get reelected, but let's not do anything about it. We have to bring people into the fold. We got to make sure that we're listening to people and bringing them into it to be engaged. From there, we have to have initiatives that really address the core issue of restaurants. Other than that, we have to make sure that we're collaborating with our people, that they're always around, and that they feel supported in this endeavor.
Mr. Tyson Thompson, thank you. Mr. Scanlon, next to you, sir. What can you do if elected to make doing business in downtown Buffalo easier?
It's not what will we do, it's what we've been doing over the course of the past 8 months. I can tell you that immediately upon becoming mayor, I required all of our people to be back in City Hall to make sure that our workforce is contributing to the vibrancy of downtown post-COVID pandemic, where we now have 25,000 or fewer people in downtown Buffalo on a regular basis. We have engaged large employers and had conversations with them to encourage them to bring their employees back into downtown. Some of them are doing that. We have established business advisory cabinets so we know that what the issues are that our small business community is facing. We will continue to engage with our small business community. We've established a small business grant program that will assist people through downtown Buffalo, and not just downtown Buffalo, but in our neighborhoods and other commercial corridors. So it's not what will we do, it's what we will continue to do. And when comparing us to other cities, why we can't do things, we're money in, service out operation. And to compare our tax base to Toronto and what you might be able to do is a little difficult. But we are going to continue to work on projects. If you see that what we did with our capital budget was the largest in the city's history. We secured funding through a unique opportunity, a creative opportunity, where we issued bond anticipation notes in order to secure large infrastructure projects that we were going to lose when I became mayor because we didn't have the money to front it. But now we've secured that money, and that's a project on Main Street, Bailey Avenue, Jefferson Avenue to help assist our small businesses throughout our city.
Mr. Tyson Thompson?
Yeah, absolutely. Using other cities as case studies for success is not to say we want to copy, but it's to say that how can we make our city better? And, what you're proposing, it sounds good, but we haven't moved the needle. The question was that there are a lot of businesses in the city of Buffalo that are deprived, depressed, and going out of business. Your initiative that you're proposing hasn't really moved the needle at all. We have to be more holistic in our approach. These things are happening all across the city. Buffalo is a working class city. People are taking out every little bit of their life savings to open these businesses. They should feel supported. They should have grants that actually make sense. And a lot of times the system is convoluted. For example, my mother had bought a home recently, a few months ago. And, trying to navigate the system is always complex and confusing. Try to get her windows done. And, I'm a smart guy. I went to Harvard, went to Columbia, went to all these degrees, Canisius College, and then HBCU called Morgan State. But even I had a hard time, and the everyday person feels that when they're trying to navigate systems in City Hall, that there's so much convolution, there's so much red tape that nothing can get done. So yeah, he could talk about the grants, and every other administration can, and so can everybody else, but at the end of the day, people can't get to it because the system is too closed. Opportunity, they say it exists, but the door to opportunity is closed. We have to make things more better and more accessible for our citizens.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ryan, if elected, what will you do to make doing business downtown easier? And more importantly, what will you do to make downtown Buffalo more attractive for visitors, including from our suburbs?
You made some very good points about Buffalo doesn't look outward. You know, they don't look at what's happening in Pittsburgh. They don't look at what's happening in Toronto. We sort of have a closed view, but we need to start looking outward for ideas and to see these other Rust Belt cities that have made faster recoveries than the city of Buffalo. But you know, let's face it, downtown Buffalo, it's empty. There is not a vibe going in downtown Buffalo. We got to get back to doing the fun stuff. You know, everybody remember Thursdays in the Square? Those were fun concerts. It brought people downtown and made people want to come to work so they could go after. We used to do the Gus Macker basketball tournament. But in really the last 12, 13 years, the city of Buffalo, they've just cut off all the reasons that you want to be downtown. And during the same period of time, they stopped doing capital investment to downtown Buffalo. So the streets are a mess in downtown Buffalo. The sidewalks are problematic. You know, the state's put money in to do the Main Street program to get cars back on Main Street. But the city of Buffalo needs to be a partner. We need to have small grants available to empty storefronts to allow them to do some minor repairs, to get pop-up businesses in there. We just need to get it going in the city of Buffalo. And I'll appoint a liaison to work with small businesses who have to go through this boondoggle of up and down in elevators back day after day. Small business owners can't afford that. It's got to be a clear path to getting a business open in the city of Buffalo.
Thank you. We have to move on. Mr. Wyatt, we do have to move on.
We have to move on, guys.
Mr. Wyatt, if
all that
elected.
back and forth between Scanlon and Ryan, let me get in on this.
How many times are we going, gentlemen, each time we can't go back and forth. Otherwise, it would be two people speaking the entire night. We're not going to do that. We're going to move on. We've not heard from Mr. Wyatt on this question. Mr. Wyatt, I'd like to hear from you on this question. What can you do to make doing business downtown Buffalo easier?
Mr. Graber, I don't know if I should take my glasses on, take them off, or leave them on, because what I've heard is that we're doing something. I don't see anything happening. I see that we give money to businesses like Gray Miller, and they take $561,000 and we let it go, and we say, oh, we don't have to pay it back. We have the Small Business Advisory Cabinet. Well, where are they? What are they doing? We're increasing we have a bed tax of 3% for hotels downtown. We're looking at selling parking ramps that's going to increase parking rates for those folks who come down here. And we're talking about an event fee. We already have a high rate of vacancy downtown. Well, how are these things going to help people come downtown? How are we going to reimagine downtown? I do a festival that's free. Last year, we had 30,000 people to University United Festival. So I know how to draw people because I listen to people. I listen to the businesses. Many years ago, we had a train go through downtown. And the businesses were upset because they thought it was going to kill downtown, and it did. And now we're trying to bring it back. But we're trying to bring it back through our own conversations, not, as the senator said, going to other places and seeing what they're doing. And I think that's really important. We need to have a conversation with the businesses downtown. We need to understand what some of their struggles are. But if we fix our financial deficits, maybe there's dollars that we can give to some of these small businesses. But right now, we can't give much of anything. And so that's the challenge that we have to deal with. Again, I think, it's meeting with the people downtown and looking at what their struggles are. Because right now, I don't see any of that happen. All I see is things that hurt more downtown than help.
Thank you. Mr. Whitfield?
This is just more of the same. The truth of the matter is that downtown didn't die a natural death. It was killed. When we took the stadium out of the city, when we took UB out to Amherst, when we put the 33 in, when we put the convention center where it is instead of the waterfront, all of these things would have been transformational for the city of Buffalo and downtown. And at every turn, we have leaders who, some of them may be here today, who have endorsed these things, have not spoken up on behalf of the residents of this community, have not advocated for this community in a way that they deserve. The truth of the matter is any one of these projects would have transformed downtown, would have helped. And we continually follow these guys around while they make these decisions that are myopic, that are short-sighted, and that keep us constantly behind the eight ball. We need new leadership. We need leadership that is visionary. We need leadership that will attract not only new businesses, but will support the ones that are here. We always look for new solutions, but the truth of the matter is that we have people here doing great work every day, struggling every day, who are not supported. And they should be supported by the mayor's office and by the government here in the city of Buffalo. And I think if they were, and if we had people who were not influenced by those people who have done well in these bad times. There are people who have done very well in these bad times, have benefited from these things, and they continue to do so. If we continue to elect career politicians, that's what we're going to continue
Mr. Whitfield,
to have.
thank you. Gentlemen, you have 90 seconds for whoever would like to rebut, if you choose to.
90 seconds total. Mr. Wyatt?
Thank you, Dave. I do agree with the commissioner. We have made a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes continue to fall back on the taxpayer. The issue of not getting the bills downtown was one of the biggest. And I would like to point the finger at the Pagulas, but I can't. I don't know if I can, because we should have been making this project shovel ready for the bills to be downtown. That would have fixed our revenue issues right there. But we missed out on another opportunity because we're always short-sighted and we're not looking at big visions. And so I agree in a lot of ways we have to have a bold vision, we have to have a smart vision, but at the end of the day what we've been doing all along has not helped us. And again, we have Byron Brown 2.0 continuing to do the same things that he's done, tricks and gimmicks that are going to continue to impact the taxpayer.
Mr. Tyson
Scanlon?
Thompson, then Mr. Scanlon.
Very
Mr.
good.
Tyson Thompson raised his hand first.
I think this is a leadership failure across the board at both the city level and us at the state. You know, this was the opportunity to really transform the city of Buffalo with the Bill Stadium. Not having it there, not having leaders actually fight for it, that's indicative of like the leadership we're going to see in the city of Buffalo. They should be running for mayor of Orchard Park, not the Buffalo.
Mr. Scanlon.
Sorry, excuse me, were you not finished?
No, go for it, please.
Thank you. Mr. Scanlon?
Yeah, when it comes to the stadium, I'm not sure I was going to fix all the problems, but the city of Buffalo had very little say in that, despite the fact that myself and other council members were screaming from the rooftops that it should be downtown. But when it comes to downtown, we have certainly invested. And I'm not sure what people are talking about, 10, 20 years of this brutal downtown. I remember pre-pandemic, a bustling downtown, cranes up, things being built where news outlets across the country were extolling what's going on in the city of Buffalo pre-pandemic. We've hit a hard time like a number of other cities, but we're coming back through cooperation with our small business, our large businesses, and we'll continue to do that.